Director of Ceremonies, Chairperson of the Board of Trustees for Patsime, Mr. Elvas Mari. Let me say, when I stand here, he's one man I have known in this creative sector who had a good skill of identifying talent. And when I worked with him, it was all about identifying and working with young people and giving them space. And I take this time to salute Ramad for the work he has done in the development of the arts in this country. The director, Mr. Jasen Mpempo, allow me to recognize our esteemed ambassador, accredited to Zimbabwe from Brazil, His Excellency Continue, and Amai. The team from the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe, the director in the ministry, are responsible for arts and culture, charity manure, creative and cultural industry practitioners, Patsime Trust board members and artists, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. It is a pleasure and honor to stand before you this evening, and for some of the people to stand twice in a day. I'm seeing a lot of faces who were in a workshop the whole of the day. It shows how long at times for things that we have passion for, to see many of you coming out from a long day in a workshop, coming to support the work that is happening here. We can only be the people that stand to lift up the work that we are passionate about. I thank you and I recognize you for that. Today we are here to launch the Aftermath, produced by Patsime Trust under the Jasen Mpempo. This marks a significant milestone in the collective effort to engage as creatives in espousing the different societal concerns that we are faced with as a people and much more as Zimbabwe. I will not be sidetracked to focus on the speech that was given by the short guy. I didn't see where because he started firing things at me and people started clapping. So I said, yeah, it means he's saying things that make sense. Huh? But let me say, as a ministry, we are committed to work with you to turn around the sector. There have been and there will continuously be challenges in every industry, not just the creative sector. If you look at the motor-hobbies industry in this country, as much as you see so many of those cars parked in the streets, they may actually have more challenges amongst themselves which they discuss. If you look at the petroleum industry, just 2 days ago, they are crying on why the exchange rate for fuel on US dollar against ZiG has been less than the actual exchange rate. So challenges in industries are always there and they affect people differently. And as a ministry, we stand to extend that hand and say, let's sit together and address things that are going to change this sector for the future. Many of you that I see here, you are no longer doing the work for yourself. You have gone past, which I was saying, I only go back maybe every 3 years, back on stage. I don't know when the next 3 years he's going to think that he can go back on stage. Slowly, it may come at a point where he says, now I hang my boots. But we are still active now. So if we come together, let's do it for the generations to come. Let's focus on our young people, on our young creatives, and say what space, what instruments do we put in place to allow our young creatives to start experiencing what we have created as a platform for them to go and live and go forward. There are more issues that we need to deal with, and we can only together, the sector and government, work together to ensure that those things happen. We are grateful to the launch today because it also speaks about building audiences again for theatre. The ambassador has always declared, I think the director, Jasen, has said, we have a lot of people like the ambassador from Brazil who want to consume local products. Could it be theater? Could it be dance? Could it be music? Are we able to reach out? Do we already know who we can invite? So at times it's important that we need to just stretch and throw our invitations all over the place, and when we bring them, let's find methods of creating even bigger audiences as we try and ensure people come here and consume our arts. Also, our target as government is, last year I think there was a baseline study that was done to establish the consumption percentage of the arts in this country. In terms of our percentage, in 2021, 2022, post-COVID, it had gone down to about 15% live consumption. And the government has put an ambitious target of raising consumption to 40% by 2025. We trust that events like this will contribute to the target. Government on its own, with its own programs, will not reach this anyway. It may not even get to 10%. But it's creating, I think, the platforms, the legislation, the environment that ensures that the rich cultural heritage that is carried by the theater groups, dance groups, music groups is actually propelled to reach or go beyond the 40% of the 40% target in consumption rate. What does it speak to? For us as government, we are clear it will speak to NDS1, and also it will speak to the vision that the government is pushing to raise to the upper middle income or society by 2030. This is why it's important that we increase consumption of our products and bring in more consumers to our work. Patsime, as I have known them, have grown from a small organization to a fully fledged organization that we look at and come to celebrate. The establishment of this theater is indeed a huge milestone in contributing to the development of the theater sector in Zimbabwe. We recognize it amongst other theater efforts that have been done. We have Amakosi in Bulawayo. We're in Bulawayo last week trying to engage the sector in how that center can be resuscitated. As a government, we are concerned, and we say we need to put our effort. The Arts Development Fund, let me take this opportunity to say people like Mr. Mari contributed to the starting of that Arts Development Fund. It has been moribund for quite a number of years. But the government of Zimbabwe 3 years ago reintroduced the Arts Development Fund. And we are confident that this year, starting this year, in the second half of this year, we may be able to start seeing either grants coming to associations or institutions like this, just to help them in terms of administration as we move forward to build that pace. Therefore,
Lord, no better.
I implore that we join hands together in also increasing the support that the government may be contributing to this sector. The embassies, Culture Fund was acknowledged earlier on. Those efforts are important to be recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, let us acknowledge and appreciate the remarkable work done by cultural and creative industry practitioners and all those organizations that have committed themselves into the sustenance of arts in Zimbabwe and contributing to the development thereof. My sincere gratitude also goes to the creatives that keep coming together, their valuable contribution to the total well-being of society. That cannot go unnoticed. The artists themselves matter, and we need to continuously acknowledge them and work with them. Together, we can build a future where arts are curated, promoted, and presented to create a positive change in our societies. I wish you all to enjoy the production tonight and have a memorable evening. Twalumba Tinobong, I thank you.